Hi, I'm Dale Robinson with Evolved Ballistics, and I'm going to share my gun cleaning practices with you today. And first, I just want to say these are my practices. If you ask 10 different people in the industry how to clean a rifle, you'll get many different answers. Anywhere from cleaning obsessively every 10 or 15 shots to they never clean. I've heard guys say they still get precision without cleaning for 1,700 shots. I recommend cleaning because I have seen at some point when I try to maintain extreme precision, my precision drops off a little bit. When I clean, I get my precision back. So I believe cleaning makes a difference, but depending upon your precision standard, it may not be as necessary as it would be for mine. First, when you're cleaning, it's critically important to use a bore guide. A bore guide typically will fit into the chamber. This one has a rubber seal to keep solvents from getting back into the chamber. First, you want to make sure that you're being safe. There's nothing in the chamber, so we have a safe weapon. Insert the bore guide. We are after three things when we're cleaning. First, we're removing powder residue and any foreign objects in the barrel. That's not terribly critical as far as the powder residue goes. I don't know that it impairs precision much. Secondly, we're after copper. Copper builds up on the rifling and we're removing that. Third, we're removing carbon. Carbon can be in extreme situations the most detrimental to precision. So I'm going to explain how to remove all three. First, we're going to put a patch appropriately sized for your caliber. We're going to get it wet with some type of solvent. I use Shooter's Choice products simply to I view it as getting the barrel wet and getting the powder residue wet. Push it through the barrel carefully, pull it out. I do that a couple times. So whatever residue is in there is now moist with the solvent. Secondly, I'll switch to a brush. Personally, I don't care if it's a bronze or a nylon. Take your pick. Get it wet with the same Shooter's Choice solvent. I'll push it through the bore and back 5 times. I'm getting the brush back into the bore guide before I reverse direction. So I've done it 5 times. Get it wet again. And I believe that loosens most, if not all, of the powder residue. If you have excessive buildup, you may have to do it a little more than that. Since I keep my guns clean, I don't think I need to do it any more than that. Switch back to a jag, and we're going to patch out what's loose in there now. Notice I get a wet black patch. That's largely powder residue. I'm going to push one more through just to show you that the bore is fairly clean from powder residue. Notice the difference between the last patch and this one. Now we're going to turn to removing the copper. And I use a number of products, and I do not try to, I've seen guys run 50 strokes almost as if they're mad at their barrel. I don't recommend that. I don't think it's necessary to remove copper. And what I use is Patch Out products, and they have Patch Out Wipeout. It is designed to remove copper quickly. You can patch it through the barrel, wait 15 minutes, patch it out, do it again, wait 15 minutes, and the barrel will be largely clean from copper. Won't say it's perfect in that amount of time, but you've done a pretty good job. They have an accelerator that works with that product to help it work a little faster. I'm going to use those quickly. Just wet my patch with each of those products. First the accelerator. All I'm doing is getting a patch of accelerator pushed through there. Second, I'm going to push some of the wipeout through. Usually I'll push 2 wet patches of wipeout through, and then I'll let it sit for 15 minutes. Okay, we waited a few minutes, and we're going to push a dry patch through to see if we have released any copper from the barrel with our wipeout. And this barrel was clean to start with, so unfortunately we chose a clean barrel to begin with, so we got nothing. But if there had been copper in this barrel, this patch would have varying amounts of blue on it. The blue is an indication of the copper. So if you get a lot of blue, you had a really dirty or copper fouled barrel, and you might consider doing this process again. But right now we can see that our barrel has little or no copper fouling, so we're done with that stage of the cleaning. But normally I would do that process twice. An alternative to that process, perhaps a better alternative, is to use wipeout foam out. And what I typically do with that is I will clean my barrel just as I did. I'll use the wipeout one time, then I will squirt the foam into the barrel, hold the button down about 3 to 4 seconds until you can see a lot of fumes coming out the far end. The foam from that will follow shortly thereafter. Once you have the barrel full of foam, you want to let it sit at least an hour. I do it quite often overnight. I just let it sit overnight, come out in the morning, push a dry patch through, and it will come out with whatever copper's in the barrel. Again, if I thought I had a terribly fouled barrel, I would do it twice. But that is usually sufficient to get most all of the copper out. Certainly more than enough, because when you foul your barrel with a couple shots, you're going to have copper buildup again right away. So I think that is sufficient for copper removal on an already fairly clean gun. If you had a terribly fouled gun, you may have to repeat that process perhaps a couple times. All right, third, and this is the part that a lot of people aren't familiar with: carbon buildup. Carbon, in my opinion, is not removed sufficiently with the other products on the market because it can build up, it builds up the full length of the barrel, but you can get a heavy carbon buildup, often referred to as a carbon ring or carbon donut. It can become so thick that the bore of your barrel back here at the breech can compress the bullet, and you will not get a good fit as the barrel or the bullet proceeds down the barrel through the muzzle, and you will see greatly diminished precision. It's this step or this issue that I believe has to at some point hurt the guys that don't clean their barrels. But that's just my opinion, and I suppose there are exceptions for different guns. Different guns built differently and so on may not demonstrate that issue as much as the ones I've tested and seen. But a carbon ring can definitely cause you serious problems. So what I do on a carbon ring is different than what some barrel manufacturers recommend, and I can understand why they wouldn't do what I do. First, let me just tell you what they typically recommend, and it may be perfectly sufficient, and that is to buy a product, you can usually get it at Napa. It's called GM Upper Engine Cleaner. Get that cleaner, and you will flush it through your barrel generously. Just let it flow through your barrel. Make sure you get good coverage. Personally, I don't know how long it takes to release the carbon, but I would leave it in there for a few minutes anyway. And then I would patch it out with a dry patch. And if I thought I was done with one treatment, then I think I would flush it out with something like gun scrubber, and then I would patch the barrel out with oil to make sure that I protected the steel inside. My alternative way to clean the carbon, and I don't recommend this for everyone, I just want you to be aware that it's a way that I think works just fine. There's a product called IOSSO. This tube, you can't even read it, but when you look at the content of the tube, it looks kind of like rubbing compound, which is what scares everyone. I don't think it's a rubbing compound, but it looks enough like it that it scares some people. So I use it. I don't think I've had a problem with it. But what I do is I put this carefully onto a patch. I'm not going to do it right now because this is a client gun. But I put it onto the patch carefully. I'll fold the patch over it onto itself to smear it around smoothly and evenly. Put it onto the rod. And I will simply push it into the barrel and go forward about 4 inches beyond the throat and back. And I do that forward, back 3 times. And then I push it the full length of the barrel. And then I flush it out generously with gun scrubber. I don't want to leave any of it in there. And then I will patch it out. Sometimes I'll use shooter's choice just to get a good wet patch in there to patch all that out. And then of course patch it out dry. And if you like, at the end of your cleaning, you can use something like Remington oil or some kind of oil to simply put the oil coating inside your barrel. When you're done cleaning the barrel, I would wipe off the muzzle or your muzzle brake at the end to not have excess fluids there. I would also remove my bore guide, use some device that will properly take any loose solvents out of your chamber area, if any got in there. And the gun should be pretty clean. And when you go out to shoot, you need to fire a couple Fowler rounds through it to, you will get different velocities because of the slick or different surfaces in there that are not normalized by being fired a few times. So anyway, if you have any questions, call us at Evolve Ballistics at 210-872-7790. I hope this was helpful. Hi, a couple footnotes to my cleaning video. One, when I talked about carbon removal with IOSO, that's not necessary every time you clean. I personally do it as I approach each 200 rounds. So I may, in the life of a barrel on a Magnum cartridge, only do that 3, maybe 4 times in the life of a, say, a 28 Nosler barrel. Or in the life of a 7 mag, you may do that 7 or 8 times in the whole life of the barrel. So bear that in mind. Do not do that every single time. I don't recommend that at all. Secondly, if you'd like more in-depth information on cleaning, I'm going to refer you to www.6mmBR.com/borecleaning.html. That's another good source of detailed cleaning information. Alternate views are usually good to consider, and ultimately you'll end up with your own cleaning procedure that makes you happy and keeps your gun in good order. Thank you.